Adventure of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and this is our Positively Pipeman segment with the pet health guru, talking health for humans and health for pets. But today we're going to talk about Greek mythology. Oh wait, no, not Greek mythology. Breeds mythology. Pet health guru, what is breeds mythology?
Well, it happened to originate basically out of the veterinary community, out of the animal health community as a whole, to sell different products. You know, you go to your veterinarian and your dog's got some sort of condition, or that so-called diagnosed with some sort of condition. And the first thing you're going to hear is, oh my God, this breed has that problem all the time. And there's nothing farther from the truth, because a wolf is a wolf is a wolf is a wolf. And it doesn't matter whether the tiny little toy breeds or those giant breeds or everything in between, their physiology is all the same. And of course, a few companies out there then decided to capitalize on diet as well, that, you know, your poodle needs a special diet because it's a poodle. And then that's only going to cost 25% more than that same food in a regular bag. But it says this. And of course, part of that was also another one of these mythical things that are out there is the so-called DNA testing for breeds and breed characteristics. Because every single one I've looked at, it has no history of gray wolf. So if you're looking at DNA, that's what it is. But they made a whole business of this so they could sell the diets. You know, oh, your dog is 50% whatever, 30% this. Yeah. Okay, which means that, okay, your breeding female dog has been doing the whole neighborhood, you know, indiscriminately. And so now we have a bunch of mixed breed puppies and kittens that are all over the place. But basically, their basic needs are all the same. Now, do certain breeds have, you know, predispositions? Again, it goes back to environment and diet. You know, The big breeds, of course, we've talked about hip dysplasia and some other bone and joint things. Well, that's caused by a bad diet to start with, because when the dog is growing, if you don't have the right components in the right ratios, the minerals and the vitamins, hormones, enzymes, and all of that, you will get malformations in the skeletal itself. And if we don't maintain it as well with a good diet, then you end up with, you know, having to go to the doggy chiropractor and get your dog adjusted because everything's out of joint. So there's a lot of different things about, you know, they approach that as well. Again, in a previous show, I was talking about exercise. You know, some dogs, you know, why does one dog can walk 5 miles and the next one can't? Because they were bred for specific things. Sporting breeds, for instance, hunting dogs. You know, I mean, they were bred for certain characteristics. You know, retrievers, you know, depending on whether you're hunting ducks on the water or you're hunting pheasant in the uplands, okay, certain breeds do better at swimming. Certain breeds do better at finding stuff, you know, in the grass and things of that nature. Working breeds, you know, if you've ever watched a border collie or, a couple of border collies herding sheep, I mean, they know they're just, first off, they're so trainable. And secondly, they're like magic. They're like streaks of lightning. They can move so fast. That's because of the breed characteristic. But that physiology is the same in all different breeds. It's just that it's like, you know, some people are better at sitting at a desk. Some people are better off as a construction worker. You know, it's depending on the way you use your body and the way the body's designed. So, you know, that has a lot to do with that. You know, when you have, you know, oh, I want a certain breed because I like the look of it. and then you made it into a house dog, and you're never at home.
Hmm.
You take a border collie, put it into a 2-bedroom apartment with a couple that works all day long. They're not going to take that dog out and let him run and that sort of thing. The classic example of that is, of course, these Belgian Malinois that climb walls and bounce off ceilings. you know, so you have to pick your breeds also for that characteristic. Um, but again, it all boils down to still good nutrition, good upbringing, creating that ultimate environment that's going to keep them healthy.
What do you think about the designer hybrids?
They're mutts. They're mixed breeds. That's all it is. And again, the selective breeding process occurred in the breeds themselves. Okay, we're looking for a certain characteristic. Well, of course, in the early days, it was a working model. I either need them for herding cattle and livestock, protecting us, guard dogs and things like that, more nurturing animals. Today, it's all about appearance. It's all about
Yeah.
cosmetics, just like
Yeah.
our society.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
if
totally.
you don't look a certain way, you don't fit in.
Well, that even goes to grooming, right? Like, so
Yes.
who determined what a dog is supposed to look like? Like I had Bichon Frises most of my adult life as a younger adult, and I mean, most of my life as a younger adult and child. And there's like a specific way you have to groom them, or else you're doing it wrong. Like, and who determined this?
Well, again, because of the coat types and things like that, you have to work around it. And again, it comes down to some of the same things. A Bichon, of course, with long hair, got to keep it brushed. Okay, keep them decently groomed. But that process is also challenged by the bad food, because if you're feeding, for instance, a kibble, low protein, low fats, which is a craze today, you're not going to get proper hair growth. So that strand of hair is not going to have a nice smooth edge to it, a nice smooth sheath, if you will, where the comb will glide through. Instead, it gets brittle, it fragments, and looks like barbed wire. And of course, on that particular breed and a lot of other breeds, when that happens, it's Mat City, and then you're shaving them down and
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of torture.
I have childhood trauma from Matt City on Bichons because my mother used to make me be the one that blow dryer and brusher, and they get matted. And there was my mother was not allowing any shaving. You're gonna get those mats out,
Yeah.
and they are brutal on Bichon. you know,
Yeah, well, they can be, and it's discomfort to the animal when it happens, because it's basically quite often it'll start pulling on the skin,
yeah,
and it'd be like when your mother grabbed you, by the cheek.
right, exactly. And so here's something too I have to say from real life experience about designer dogs. So as you know, I had April, she was a pug, and pugs during that time were the most popular ones to create a designer hybrid, because pugs are like one of the greatest dogs, except for their smushed in face and their sinus problems and all that. So they
Right.
create these new dogs that don't have it. Now, when I got married to Thing 2, I got her one of those designer hybrids, which was a Puggle. And I can tell you right now, April was a way better dog than that designer hybrid. That designer hybrid was a pain in the behind.
Yeah.
Just saying. I
Well, you're
don't see
dealing
where
with
the advantage was either.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you're playing basically roulette with the genetics.
Yeah.
You want one trait, and okay, like the pushed in face. Okay, that might look cute, but the trauma that it puts the animal through, because they can't breathe, they can't eat properly. The jaw is malformed, and therefore, over time, it's going to hurt. And all these little things. And then, of course, on some of them, like you take a Shar Pei, with the folded skin. Oh yeah, that looks really cute. But in that fold, you've got every fungus, every bacteria, every every
You know what you made me think of, right? Those folds are like foreskin. It's
yeah,
it's like not having a moil, take your foreskin skin
yeah.
away.
That's yeah. I mean, it's we think we're doing good, but in many cases we're just creating havoc with the animal and and their physiology.
It's all
And
about money. It's not about good or the dogs or whatever. It's all about money because you can sell it
absolutely,
for. It amazes me how much money people spend on mutts.
yeah,
Like used to be when I was a kid, like a Bichon was an expensive dog. A Bichon is cheap compared to some of these mutts,
yeah,
which just blows my mind. The whole reason the Bichon was more money or any other, because it was purebred, not because it was a mutt.
yeah. It was purebred and had standards, absolute standards. When you start crossing it, you're not going to get a standard. Basically, is you're going to get hit or miss on which characteristics are being transferred back and forth. When you go to the next generation, they can go back completely backwards. Okay, like on a labradoodle. Okay, if you breed two labradoodles, you might get a Labrador again. You might get a poodle again, and you might get something completely different because
That's
we're
true.
mixing up the genes.
Yeah, and it's funny what you should say about the standards because, we used to show our Bichons too. And,
Yeah,
you know, the Bichon that you got had to have certain standard characteristics or else they did not qualify, you
yeah,
know, and that included their leg sizes, how they were groomed, all these different things. And you're right. I think it's just like society in general. There are no standards anymore.
yeah.
It's, it's
It's
just,
totally right. And in fact, it's funny because I quite often use the dog shows as an example. When you're getting into those purebred dogs with that standard, and you watch a dog show judge, okay, they do a much more thorough physical examination of that animal than any veterinarian I've ever seen.
yeah.
They're handling, they're feeling where the joints are. They watch the way the animal moves, from the side, from the back, from the front, so you can actually see that physiology working.
Hmm.
And once you get outside that breed standard, it's all lost. And of course, a lot of those traits, those bad traits, equate to pain, discomfort, ill health, all of that. And again, we have to add back in, get that specific diet into that dog so you can maintain that ultimate position.
So that brings me to a question too, because I haven't watched or, been into dog shows in a long time, you know. So do they now like allow these designer hybrids to be part of dog shows, or is there still a purity that to a dog show?
Basically, I mean, because now we've got several breed groups that register them in that. But for the most part, the AKC and the UKC that have been around forever, AKC has been around, like, I don't know, 150 years. They still have maintained standards. You can enter a new breed. However, you then have to document that when you do breed, you've worked on this modification, but when you work on that modification, we need so many generations where you are getting basically cookie cutter puppies. That
Yeah.
they're all coming up with the same standard. And that's very, very important because then now you've got it established. Like I said, once you start crossing on different breeds and that sort of thing, your first, second, third generations, you can end up with some real disasters.
And how can you judge something that doesn't fit a standard?
Yeah,
You can't.
yeah.
But
It's
But I know how you could judge how you take care of your animal, and that is by reaching out to the pet health guru. So tell everybody how they could reach out to you, reach out to my Paleo Pet, Pet Health Cafe, and all that good stuff.
yeah. I mean, I'm available for consultations either through mypaleopet.com, mypaleopet the store down in Pompano Beach. And of course, they can watch me and listen to me on this show and on the Pet Health Cafe podcast. Every Thursday night it's live, available 24/7 on a number of different venues, such as YouTube and Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can listen to me while you're driving down the road, pick out your topics that you want, get educated, learn how to do it right. Our retail outlet down in Pompano Beach, we're in a brand new location, educational center going into it. We actually produce a lot of our products there, which is the BioComplete line. A lot more information on, things like herbals and botanicals and ancient remedies are available on BioComplete, naturaldiets.com. And, I've been doing this for, commercially, we're in our 20th year at the store. This is the 18th season of Pet Health Cafe as well. I started out with you, and it's been just ongoing. It's the same. Basically, a lot of it is the same message, but trying to reach different people.
Yeah.
Everybody learns at a different rate and in a different way. Sometimes I get exasperated because you tell somebody something 20 times, and the 21st time it goes like, oh,
Yeah, totally. And it's the way it is, isn't it?
It sure is.
Well, you, Pet Health Guru, and Pet Health Cafe, and My Paleo Pet definitely have a standard, and it's the highest standard there is. Everybody needs to follow you, and I want to thank you once again for giving us a wealth of information that can keep our pets healthy and happy, which makes us healthy and happy. And all of you that are here now, don't leave. We're going to be giving away tickets to festivals in just a couple minutes, and then we're going to have some powerful business strategies that we're going to discuss. So stay tuned here on the Adventures of Pipeman, right here on W4CY Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.